dude?
I got directions, but they're kind of
Do you have an address?
No, I have directions. I have a phone number. One of the organizers.
Are you going there right now?
Yeah, Amy Allen's waiting for me.
I'll go follow you.
Oh man, I saw Full Metal Jacket, and you know that was supposed to be an anti-war movie, but I saw that, and I saw, you know, I saw Gomer Pyle commit suicide at the end of the first act. Memorial Day this year, I also got this tattoo. This is our logo, but it's also, you know, the Field Expedient Memorial over the profile of Iraq.
Yeah. I saw Derek.
Some gave off for nothing. As Iraq veterans against the war, we are resisting an occupation we once risked our lives for.
One should be free. And we would cherish liberty even if liberty traveled alone. But liberty has companions, and those companions are peace and prosperity. War, on the other hand, the spirit of destruction, is the destroyer of prosperity and the destroyer of liberty.
There is one economic rule that we ought to lay to rest completely and totally. It was been taught in our public schools for too long that war is healthy for the economy. It absolutely is never healthy for the economy. I would say the economy ought to be booming here. Just think how many wars are going on around the world, how much we're spending on the military.
People lose their lives because of the pressures of poverty when we have, you know, what Ron Paul calls the worst regressive tax in America. You know, the inflation tax. Even that comes down to a matter of life and death. But the reason when there's a war that's unjust, that it's always the movement that's most poignant and prominent in our country, is because that's the worst manifestation of corrupt power.
There sit the enablers of the wars of empire, without whom such wars could not be waged. Right down there, ironically enough, on Constitution Avenue.
So you think they're being fear-mongered into not following the Constitution?
Oh, yeah.
Or do they forget about their oath to the Constitution because of the elite's fear?
They're not even reminded of it. It's I mean, the same conditioning that they're trying to do to the American people at large. They want all the American people to forget about the Constitution, but especially the troops. Honoring that oath, it takes an immense amount of courage.
Today, the Democrats and Republicans could give a damn less about the Constitution.
I'm now realizing more and more, Democrat, Republican, environmentalist, militarist, gay, straight, black, white, the Constitution is more important than any of it! Constitution, we are going to have problems bigger than which party's in power, if it's not our party, and if we lose the Constitution that the founders gave us, we are going to have problems bigger than terrorism.
If you take a look at our war history and the times we go into battle, what you come up with is that those bombs need to be exploded about every 10, 15, 20 years, and we're right on schedule to take good care of the military-industrial complex.
During the siege of Fallujah, a young Lance Corporal was shot through the side of his flak jacket in a firefight to the west of the city. The bullet hit an artery near his spine. My team was called to help get him to the field hospital at Camp Takatum. He was in a stretcher in the Humvee in front of me, and I watched as the corpsman treated the external wounds in a frightened, hurried panic as the dust from the hot road swirled around us. When we got there, I carried him in as he moaned and writhed in pain, barely conscious. He flailed his arm off the stretcher, And I put it back by his side and I told him, don't worry, you made it. You're gonna be okay. But he died only minutes later from the internal bleeding. I have to live with that memory every day, but I have learned from it.
I'm an Iranian American. My mom's from Iran, my father's from Germany. And I've lived here since 1986. Hey, you want to be on camera? No. The Support the Troops group. I'm going to go back home and eat for dinner every night.
Republicans. Classic Republicans. Not classic Republicans, neither conservatives. Yeah.
They are conservative. But they support the troops in their own way. They're supporting their troops as raising money for them and keeping them there because they have family. They have family there. And when America gave weapons of mass destruction to Iraq, they were used on us while I was there in 1980 to 1986, and we had chemical warfare and it was awful.
That is why we need a change in foreign policies so that we can defend this country if it ever became necessary. This whole idea that we need to go to in Iran makes no sense whatsoever. Iran happens to spend 1% on their military compared to we spend 99% more. That is what we spend on our defense. And what do? We try to intimidate and build fear in the people that they have nuclear weapons and are about to unleash these on Europe and the United States, and that we have to do something. All we hear about are the war drums beating, that we have to go to war against another country, that we have to invade Iran, which we should not have to do.
During the Bush years, we have invaded 2 countries. We gave a silent wink and a nod for the destruction of a third, and now in the waning days, we're on the brink of another neocon war.
America has not seen it hit rock bottom yet in those countries. It has hit pretty low to bottom. Iran is a wonderful country with beautiful people and great landscape, but the government has destroyed it and its credibility and its beauty. And I think that this is what's happening here, and it's happening at a pretty rapid rate that you would wake up and other Ron Paul supporters would wake up to the fact that they need to retain the country and its freedom.
I will not tell you that the Band-Aids applied by Democrats and Republicans will heal us. I will not pretend that everything is just going to be okay while we are bled dry by tyrants. And if it takes the last full measure of devotion, I will not allow the same fate to befall this country. This young movement is getting past the external wounds to the greater evils plaguing this nation. We know that the greatest threat to American security is the current corruption of our government.
And there's too many people who are afraid to face the reality of that when it's like right in their faces as a matter of life and death. And when I tell people, like, some people gave all for nothing, like they died for nothing, like it's really hard, you know. And I wrote a poem about it. I just did a new video from that, so I'm hoping that helps spread the message.
One of the best vindications of the whole campaign has been the tremendous response our campaign and our message has been received by our military personnel. But it pleased me to no end to see when they added up in the first quarter of this year that our campaign was able to raise more money from active military personnel than all the rest put together.
Freedom! 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 Freedom!
There's no reason to be discouraged. There's every reason to be concerned. There's every reason to have a sense of urgency because time is running out. We know that we have a certain length of time to turn the ship of state around. We have been introduced to something in this country historically different than any other nation ever had, a large respect and understanding of personal liberty. And it was written in our Constitution, but in the last 100 years there has been severe, persistent abuse of that liberty, and we have to change that.
My roommate, Jeff Millard, has degenerative bone disease.
All I want's my camera.
He's supposed to be in a wheelchair in less than a year. I wanted to get tested, you know, and I went in and I said, you know, I was training in junkyards where they were, you know, I was around vehicles that were hit with DU, and they said, all right, well, piss in the bottles, and in 5 months we'll have some results for you.
5 months?
Yeah, but they're in denial about it. I mean, it's Agent Orange all fucking over again. The only thing that I'm really concerned about, though, is having kids, because it's with your sperm and your DNA. And you hear the Pentagon say, "Oh, you can sprinkle it on your cereal and eat it for breakfast." You know, like literally, that's the quote that everybody holds up because it's the most absurd. But someone from the Pentagon actually said that. If I acknowledge that DU is f***ed up and we're not being told the truth, I got to go all the way down the rabbit hole. You know, I got to start questioning everything. I got to refuse orders to go to Iraq.